Hey, what's up, investors? My name is Brandon with REIPrintMail. I'm a direct marketing coach here. Here I have with me today is Jake Martin, one of our senior coaches. We get a lot of questions of people asking us, what's kind of working in their market, what kind of mail piece to send. Jake's got a couple of campaigns going on right now. He's going to go over what's kind of working in the market.
Well, I've got more than a couple going on, but I've got a couple ready. Rather than going with a really high response rate, outskirts of St. Louis or small town type of campaign, I wanted to go with a big one. And this client in particular, he's working out of Los Angeles, San Bernardino, Riverside, and I believe San Diego as well, which are really tough markets. They're not beginner friendly. And, to put that in perspective, so far he's spent $33,000 this year. And out of that, he's got 75 phone calls, which doesn't sound very exciting. But when you break that down, he's averaging a deal per every 25 calls, which is actually pretty average. On average, he's making about $120,000 per deal. So you can imagine spending $33,000, making roughly, $360,000, maybe more, maybe less.
Pretty good return.
He's pretty happy, right?
What kind of mail pieces is he sending?
He sent a few different ones. What we've landed on is working really well is we've got our invisible list. Now, invisible isn't even necessarily our list. It's actually from CoreLogic. It's tough to say exactly what it is because it's proprietary data, but a lot of it is like out-of-state senior tax delinquent owners, and we're sending them offers. So I think what we're doing is about an 85% offer for their property. So we've got an AVM, but that it's an automated valuation model. So it's taking some of the top 3 websites for real estate, grabbing those estimated values, averaging the 3 of them, and then we take about 85% of that, slap it on the mailer, and there's your offer, right?
Okay.
So some people might think that's a little bit nerve-wracking to send out an offer before you've even seen the property. There's a very specific line of dialogue that I train my clients to say, and it's just as simple as this. Someone calls up, hey, you offered me X amount for my property. Is this a real offer? Because a lot of times it might be high, it might be low. You never know. You haven't seen the property yet. You'll just let them know that offer's contingent on the condition of the property. I'd love to come check it out and take it away from there as you normally would. Can you tell me about the property, so on and so forth?
Just start pointing stuff out.
Exactly.
Put numbers in people's heads.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
And how frequently are you sending a campaign like this out? So how do you determine that?
So good question. So what we've done is we're doing weekly drops. He wanted a more consistent campaign. I've got some clients that kind of do everything at once, and then they disperse out their leads and they handle them as they come, and they hit me up whenever they're ready to go again, and they do another massive drop. This guy is honestly how I prefer. He's more consistent. He's doing weekly drops.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And how many times are you touching a single list? Are you switching it up every month? How many times does the list get touched or refreshed?
Good question. And we are switching it around a little bit because we are in the first 6 months of his campaign, which is a big pivotal moment of anyone's campaign because you're finding out exactly what's working. We know what's working in each market. We don't know exactly what's working in each market in your specific buy box until we mail, right? That's the point of tracking it. So right now we're mailing, I believe it's 12,000 records per month, and we pull a list of 18,000 so that we have enough records to mail for a month and a half before we have to repull a list and pivot from there.
Okay. And typically, how many calls does it take to close a deal?
He's at 25, and that's about average. So an average investor is at about 25. It depends on how many exit strategies you have. I've got guys that, they're crushing it with creative financing. They're doing novations. They're also buying with cash. They're doing listings as well, closing 1 in 12, right? And then you've got your beginner wholesaler that might be at 1 in 35. So it varies, but he's at 25.
Okay. And with this campaign, do you switch up the mail pieces? Do you send the same mail piece out? Or how does that determine to the campaign?
I mean, really, we do that with any campaign. We know what's working in each market, so we start with what we know is working, right? You wouldn't go to a fishing pond. Everyone's using the same bait to catch fish and try using a different bait, right? You want to use what's working, so that's what we started with. I think at one point we were sending a mega mailer and determined that it wasn't getting a good bang for your buck.
What's the mega mailer look like?
The mega mailer, it's an obnoxiously large mailer, right? So as you open your mailbox, it's already big and it unfolds to about the size of a poster. It's ridiculous, but it works really well. And I think kind of the joke was that it worked great with senior owner occupieds because
because they can't see.
Okay. But no, so we pivoted away from that. Those pieces are a little bit more expensive, so they really have to work to be worth it. And we went towards those offer postcards, right? But the next campaign I've got a really big difference here. So this guy is on the East Coast. Okay. He's been mailing with me for a couple of years now, so we've got a really large sample size. So far, he's spent $156,000 with me so far, and he's got 824 phone calls out of that. I could not tell you what his average deal close per phone call is, but I can tell you it's good. He started off at $3,000 per month with me, moved into our REI Complete program, started having our call team qualify his inbound leads, and the rest is history. I think at this point, he's hovering between $8,000 and $15,000 per month, and just absolutely crushing it. You can see, he's got a campaign that he spent $131,000 on. He's got one he spent $21,000 on. There's multiple different campaigns he's used here, but he's really found a groove with our check offer letter.
Okay.
And so what that is, that's one of our favorite pieces, especially during this tax season that we're in right now. It comes in a perforated envelope, and through the window, the seller is going to see their name on what looks like a check.
Okay.
And so of course you're going to open that, especially if you're in a bad financial situation. You're hoping for a check. It might even look like a bill. It's going to get opened, right?
Yeah.
And we put that offer on there. I think we're sticking with the 75% offer out there because it's a cheaper property than it would be like in LA. But man, he's crushing it.
So if somebody's doing a KPI tracker on it, so how does the KPI work?
Well, I mean, it's pretty simple. Good question, because it's a little bit newer. We really just have routing numbers specified to each campaign on the mailer, right? So if I have a list of tax delinquencies and I'm mailing a check letter to them, I'll have a specific number. But if I'm also taking that check letter and sending it to senior owner occupieds, it's going to have a different tracking phone number. Those bounce off our tracking phone numbers and forward right to the client's CRM or cell phone. I wouldn't recommend a cell phone, but whatever the phone they're using to answer the calls, it's just bouncing off, and we're just tracking the amount of calls he's getting. Or he or she.
Okay. Well, how do you compare each of the campaigns from the previous campaigns?
I mean, really, you just look at the numbers. I mean, a lot of times, a really big factor too is you'll have multiple campaigns going at once for each client just to really test what's working. And I use test very loosely there. That's in a big air quote, because you're not really testing when we already have sent millions and millions of mailers testing these before. We know what's working before we tell you what to do, but we might know the top 2 or 3, and we use them within your buy box to figure out exactly what's working, like I mentioned earlier. A really big factor that you have that a lot of people don't think about is that if I have a campaign that's getting a 0.4% response rate, and then I got a campaign right next to it getting a 1.4, you might immediately go, can the 0.4, put that budget into the 1.4. Most people would. It would make sense in most situations. Some clients have closed 3 deals out of that 0.4 and 1 deal out of the 1.4. It comes down to cost per deal rather than cost per month lead. So you have to factor that in as well.
So is this more of a data-driven decision? Like, are you running testing different data points? Like, how are you so determining on that?
That's really all I can do. You know, that's all I can see as a direct marketing coach. That's why the KPI tracker helps me help my client so much, is because all I can do is go off of data, right? I can feel a certain way, but when you look at what mailers are working best in each market, and then you look at the entire list of what we have to offer, it'd be really hard to guess which one's working. It's tough to say just based off your feelings. So, you know, I try to not rely on how I feel at all and just look at the data.
Okay. So if I'm a new investor coming in, how would you break down my market in a way? Like, what questions would you ask me? Where would I go? You know,
well, I'd first try to figure out, you know, what position you're in. So if you've never closed a deal before, it's going to be a totally different discussion than if you've closed a few and, you know, you're looking to build some consistency. The biggest thing would be what type of deals you're looking to do, right? If you're doing wholesale deals, it's going to be a totally different story than if you're trying to obtain 5+ unit multifamilies, right? We're going to use a different mail piece. We're going to send a different amount of mail. Our budget's going to be different, because someone that's doing wholesale, they might be turning and burning and making a lot of money every month.
Yeah.
But for example, a rookie flipper that's looking to get 3-4 flip deals per year, I'm not going to have them send out 10,000 mailers per month. They're going to be overloaded, right? And then they might get a flip deal and they can't handle 3 more flip deals.
So just based on their business model is kind of what we're trying to figure out.
Yep, their business model, their budget, their experience, and what they're looking to do. Yeah.
Okay. So what adjustments would you make for future campaigns based on results from this current campaign?
Like I said, I would look at which ones are getting the best response and which ones they're closing deals on, right? The closing of the deals on each list is going to be more important than the actual response rate. Okay. And so I have monthly meetings with all of my clients using this KPI tracking program, and we just comb through it. And it's tough to say exactly what change I make without seeing a campaign in front of me, but you can rest assured that we're going to take care of you. I like to consider myself as like an extension of your marketing department.
Okay.
Right? And so it really does vary depending on what the numbers look like.
Okay.
Right?
So would you say that people really focus too much on the cost per piece for direct mail?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I can't blame people, because when you do set out 5,000 pieces and that at the end of the day, you know, it costs $4,200, that's the price of a used Honda, right? Yeah. So when you have another company going 5,000 pieces is $3,600, it's hard to differentiate between the two when you haven't sent them out and you haven't seen results. Yeah. That's why I tell a lot of people to just check out our reviews. You know, the proof's in the pudding. You can't get rid of Google reviews, right? And so check out our reviews, look at the good ones, look at the bad ones. There's a reason that we have so many 5-star reviews, is because we don't let bad campaigns go out the door. So yeah, price per deal is much more important, infinitely more important than the price per piece. Okay. Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you get this general question a lot. Why do you think direct mail continues to be effective in real estate marketing?
It's because we lean into the new technology. If we were just 5 years ago, we were pulling an absentee list on PropStream and just tracking what colors was working best in each state. And now it goes down to exactly, we're more leaning into the data side of things now. So we've spent the last 20 years figuring out exactly what verbiage was working, what colors were working, what size of the postcard was working, all that, and what was getting the best bang for your buck. The last 2 years, we've really focused on the data side of things. So now not only do we own our own own data company. We own an AI company that ranks your data. We also have our hands in a few other data companies getting proprietary data. And so really, direct mail may seem old-fashioned, but we are leaning into the future in every way we can.
Okay, and go more into the AI. So what does the AI include?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked. So the AI is looking at, I'd be lying if I told you I knew every filter it's using, but it's looking at a lot of stuff that I can't see. I'm going to pull a list to the best of my ability. I'm going to stack that motivation as high as I can while still being within your buy box. But the AI is able to see deeper. It's able to see stuff like recent credit score changes, how far away they live from the property, financial information that I wouldn't necessarily be able to see. It can't see someone's bank account, but it can have an estimated income based on where they live and things like that. Yeah. And so it's just going to rank people. We really want people that are in a bad position. That sounds rough, but it's true. We want to help people that are in a bad position. I don't want to talk to someone that's financially secure.
So footprint of the homeowner, you want to see who's financially stressed or in legal trouble.
Exactly.
The factor.
Exactly right. Yeah.
Okay. And then what advice would you give investors who are new to direct mail campaigns in certain areas? So like say if I'm in, St. Louis, Missouri here, what advice would you give me?
And honestly, my advice would be to talk to me, right? But, more specifically, St. Louis, Missouri, if I were to break that down, first I'd figure out what type of deals you're doing. Like I'd mentioned earlier, let's say we're wholesaling in St. Louis. I would break down, here's a few clients I have in St. Louis. Here's how we've done. For example, if you're looking to just knock out some good base hits in St. Louis, if you go for like South County or North County, where we can find homes you can buy homes on market down there for $50,000, which is like unheard of in a lot of other states and cities. If we aimed for properties like that, and then we took only the absentee owners, meaning that they don't live in the property, absentee owners that own less than 5 properties, which tells us they're not like slumlord, right? They're not actively in the investing scene too much, at least. Maybe we even add tax delinquency on top of that. You might only get a few hundred, but you're going to get a good response out of that. So it's really important to talk to someone like one of us, you or I, that's going to be able to dive into what we've seen work historically.
Okay. So if I'm having investors that I'm working with who, if I'm in New York compared to somewhere like here in St. Louis, is there a difference in pieces I have to send out or different type of piece I have to send out?
Oh, absolutely.
Like a competitiveness in a way.
There's certainly a pattern we've seen where a lot of the same pieces are working in most of the areas across the nation. But
what's the best piece?
Oh, I mean, that's tough to say. My clients are doing best with a small postcard with an offer on it. It looks like maybe I stopped by your house, you weren't there. Okay. I wrote you a note. It says, sorry, we missed you.
Stuck it in the screen
Some
door.
of our investors watching this might be using it actively. So I'm sorry for giving away the secret, but that's what's working best. You've also got, the last 2 years, the check mailer has not only brought us a lot of popularity, but made people millions and millions of dollars. So those offer mailers are just really crushing it right now.
Okay. And then for the check mailer, what kind of offer are you putting on that? How do you determine an offer?
So if someone's got a really wide range, like a big buy box, meaning like, let's say we're in Philadelphia, where you can get houses for, in most areas are like this. Maybe a better example would be Boston. Yeah. Boston, you could get a house for $1.5 million. That's like 1,800, maybe 1,200 square feet. You can drive 15 miles down the road and get a house for $250,000. But you don't want to count either of those out because they're both great investment opportunities. If you got a really wide range like that, I'm going to scale those offers. On a $200,000 house, I don't want to offer 85%. That's a lot. I would be offering like 70, 75%. But then as we go down the list and we kind of organize it by what the home's valued at, those $1.5 million homes, I think it'd almost be kind of rude to send a mailer with a 70% offer on it because you're chopping off the hundreds of thousands of dollars without knowing the condition yet. You're also killing your chances.
So the higher the offer, the more chances you get at the plate in a way.
Yes, that's true. And you know what? There's a reason we don't do 100% offers, even though we know we get a ton of calls, or 110% offers. It's because there is a happy medium. 80% seems to be kind of the sweet spot where, you can still talk them down, but you can still make sure you get a good amount of calls.
Okay. If you guys liked what you heard today, go ahead and book a call with us in the link below. If you guys want to hear more and break down your markets, go ahead and comment your market in the comment section. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel here at REIPrintMail. We'll see you guys later.